In the shadows of global economic dynamics, have you ever considered the covert struggle unraveling for the very concept of currency? Picture this. The BRICS nations, a collective force embodying more than 40% of the world's population, are silently challenging the established world order dominated by the United States and its Western allies. As this alliance seeks to redefine the global narrative, an intriguing question arises. How will this new global reserve currency affect the current financial hierarchy? And what does this mean for investors? Now, by the close of 2023, they are anticipated to wield control over a staggering 25% of all goods exported globally, essentially a slice of 29% of the world's GDP. And that's not all. Their footprint extends to 43% of the world's oil production and a substantial 46% of the planet's population. These impending shifts aren't just numbers on a chart. They signify a seismic transformation in the global economic order. The BRICS countries, which include Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, have done better than the G7 nations. They are measured using something called purchasing power parity, which looks at how well people live. This measure shows that the BRICS nations will make up about half of all the people working worldwide. Also, these countries, which cover about 25% of the Earth's land, are getting much bigger. The current chair, South Africa, has reported that more than 40 countries are interested in joining the BRICS group this year. Notably, oil-rich Saudi Arabia has the support of Russia and Brazil, and Argentina claims to have China's backing. Already, over 40 countries have applied to join BRICS, and in 2024, 6 new countries including Saudi Arabia, Iran, Ethiopia, Egypt, Argentina, and the United Arab Emirates are expected to be welcomed. There are rumors that these oil giants joining BRICS are considering returning to the gold standard for their currency. The primary purpose of this move is to challenge the dominance of the US in the West, initiating a global shift away from the US dollar. This shift is already underway, as evidenced by the central bank's share of dollar reserves reaching a 20-year low of 58%. Recently, the head of marketing research at JP Morgan acknowledged a significant decline in the importance of the dollar from 2014 to 2022. These developments raise several questions. Who are the countries involved, and what drives their motivations? What are the compelling reasons behind their challenge to the US dollar? And what underlying issues are sparking this resistance against the dollar itself? Furthermore, if this actually happens, is there a possibility that Ray Dalio's forecast is accurate when he said that all world reserve currencies are inevitably approaching their end? Let's answer the first question. Who are these countries? Jim O'Neill, an economist at Goldman Sachs, observed the remarkable growth rates in Brazil, Russia, India, and China, collectively known as the BRIC nations. At that time, these countries were identified as rising stars due to their rapidly expanding economies. However, it wasn't until 8 years later in 2009, during the global recession, that these nations formally came together as a group. The global financial crisis had a profound impact, particularly on emerging market members in the Global South, leading them to question the relevance and reliability of the US-led global financial system. The recession raised doubts about the trustworthiness of the US global financial system, prompting the inaugural official meeting of the BRIC countries in Russia in 2009. 1 year later, South Africa joined the group, forming what is known as the BRICS: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. These nations, collectively referred to as BRICS, have not only established themselves as a significant bloc, but are also experiencing rapid growth. In the upcoming year, they are projected to more than double in size by welcoming 6 new countries into their team. So the second question to consider is, why are they challenging the dollar, especially when the dollar is performing well? The answer to this question is incredibly complex, but since we're already here, let's delve into it. The world we live in today was mainly set up after World War II and has continued since then. In 1944, something important happened with the Bretton Woods Agreement, where 44 countries gathered and agreed that the US dollar would be the main currency used worldwide. They chose the US dollar because back then, The US was the most powerful country by default. Jump to 1945, and President Franklin Roosevelt had a secret meeting during the war. While there aren't many records of it, we know he promised to protect the King of Saudi Arabia. In return, the US got special rights to be the only country allowed to get oil from Saudi Arabia. All of this history helps explain why some people are now questioning and challenging the US dollar. Even though the dollar seems to be doing well, there's a desire to rethink and maybe change how the world's money system is set up based on these past agreements and events. Now here's a question. If you're a country and need to borrow money, where do you go? Printing your own money isn't a good idea because it can lead to inflation and higher prices, and you might even get replaced. The answer is, as a country, you go to the World Bank or the IMF, International Monetary Fund. Think of them as the one big global piggy bank that all countries contribute to. When a developing country wants to borrow money for building infrastructure, it can do so by borrowing a few $billion and paying a reasonable interest rate. The interest rate might even be lower if that country behaves and does what those in power, whom not everyone agrees to distribute fairly, think is the best interest. But if you're not a powerhouse and can't produce everything on your own as a country, where do you borrow money without owing too many favors? The solution lies in creating your own bank, and that's precisely what the BRICS nations did. They established the new development bank as their equivalent to the IMF. Joining BRICS means gaining access to this new bank. Since its establishment in 2014, the NDB has approved over $30 billion in loans for development and infrastructure projects. Access to funding from this bank, which appears to offer more favorable terms than traditional development banks like the World Bank or the IMF, is something that attracts many countries. However, there's still an issue because a big part of the new development bank's money is currently in US dollars. That's why these countries are teaming up to make their own currency, supported by gold. That way, they can rely less on using dollars. Now, for question number 3. If these countries succeed in creating another form of money, how will it impact the US? The theoretical answer is that it could harm the US over an extended period. This could negatively affect both investors and the middle class. For investors, if people lose confidence in the dollar and it's not as in demand, investors might withdraw their money from the US. This could lead to a reduced interest in buying things like US stocks and real estate. For the middle class, if there's less demand for dollars, the next time the US prints more money to address its issues, which it does all the time, it might struggle to distribute those dollars to other countries if they don't need them. This would result in more dollars circulating within the US, potentially leading to higher prices. The move towards de-dollarization is inevitable and has been underway for the past few decades. However, predicting exactly how long it will take remains uncertain. Current data suggests that the process could be prolonged, possibly extending beyond our lifetimes. Even the BRICS countries do not have a clear roadmap on what steps to take and how to navigate the de-dollarization process. Anyhow, we're in a historic moment and it's pretty thrilling, but no one really knows what will happen next. However, we are curious about your thoughts. Do you think Ray Dalio is right? Is this the dollar's end, or could it be a positive change? Let us know about your thoughts below. This has been Eminent Investments. Remember to subscribe to the channel and smash the like button. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.